Hey, okay. A long time ago, about a year ago now, I did a video where I was outlining how you could possibly make a good Superman movie because I don't think there's been one. And a few months ago, somebody commented and asked me if I could do one for the other DC characters. And I thought about doing Batman first, yeah, but you know what? Let's do somebody that doesn't have a movie yet and whose show is also awful. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking about The Flash. I got an idea on how to make a great Flash movie, and you're not going to believe it until you hear it, so let's do this. Okay, so first off, Barry Allen, the guy that you're used to, we're getting rid of him. I'm tired of him. I'm tired of his face. I'm tired of his voice. I'm tired of his name. He's not even most people's Flash. Most people, if you're familiar with The Flash, from a period of time between 1986 and 2010, The Flash is Wally West. All the cool stuff you've heard about The Flash doing is Wally West. I promise you it was. There is no other Flash it could have been. That's not working. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. Everything's falling apart. Up, up, up. Point is, crisis averted. Point is, I think that this movie needs to center on Wally West, but still be about Barry Allen. Here's what I mean. Let's say 2 years ago today, Barry Allen sacrificed himself in some sort of grand battle. He ran himself out of existence like he did in the Crisis on Infinite Earths comic. And in those 2 years, his identity has gone out as being the Flash. They decided to build him the Flash Museum to commemorate all of his achievements. All this stuff, all this great stuff. And Wally has been the active Flash for the last 2 years. But he still doesn't feel like he's the Flash. You know, he still feels like he's Kid Flash. He doesn't feel like he's in a place where he can take care of Central City the way that it needs to be taken care of. So over the last few months, he's been developing a plan to go back in time to the night Barry disappeared and save him, basically. So he does it, and it doesn't work. In fact, the Speed Force cracks open and starts to die. And out pops Eobarthon, the Reverse Flash. And he's like, hey, okay, so you've screwed us. And now that the Speed Force is decaying, the more we use our powers, the less power we're going to have. So we got to build a machine that'll generate us enough energy to send us back to the past, bring back Barry Allen, send you home, and send me home. And if we don't, then the Speed Force is going to unleash an amount of energy the world cannot withstand, and it will explode and crack into 17 very large pieces. And Wally's like, crap, well, it looks like I have no choice but to help you. Of course, Bartholomew is going to be lying to him, but they're gonna be doing the thing, building the thing, going back in time. They're gonna save Barry, and then it's like, oh, ha, ha, ha. And then Barry's like, oh no, you let him out? He's from the future, yeah, but he was actually in the Speed Force prison. You accidentally released him. And the energy that's coming out of the Speed Force is what happens when the Speed Force prison is empty. Oh no! And it turns out that the future that Wally is from no longer exists now that Barry's alive again. So Wally's getting erased from the timeline. And it's like, well, we got to do something before you get yeeted up out of here, man. So they fight the Reverse Flash and they stick him back in the Speed Force prison. Wally turns to dust and then he wakes up in the proper timeline. And like, I was thinking the very first scene of the movie is like a montage of how he prepares for the day. Like, you know, he eats breakfast. Then he goes to work, he brings his suit with him, and then he meets his girlfriend, and then he starts doing his rounds. But this time, instead of him wearing a Flash suit, he's just back to wearing his yellow and red Kid Flash suit, because that's what he wears in this timeline now that Barry's not dead. So, that's basically the concept for my Flash movie. It sounds more simple than it would be if put to script. But the thing that's important is the lesson that's learned, right? Wally's thing going into the movie is he doesn't feel worthy. You know, he feels like he's not what Central City needs protecting them. He doesn't have a sense of identity as the Flash, and the goal would be to for him to gain one over the course of the movie. And I know what your thing is, like, well, if he brings back Barry at the end, then where would his sense of identity come from? Barry would know what happened, right? So he'd be able to tell Wally that, hey, by yourself, basically, you defeated the Reverse Flash and brought me back to life. So that's pretty cool. You also sealed up the Speed Force prison and saved the world. So he probably wouldn't explain all that to him on screen, but I'm sure at some point between then and now, when he's waking up 2 years later, that he would have found out about what happened, and he'd probably be confident enough in himself to be his own Flash. He might not even be Kid Flash anymore. He's just like, well, if I'm that good, then I can just be off on my own. So thanks, Barry. Thanks for everything you've taught me. I will now be Central City. I will now be Keystone City's Flash. I'll see you later. You know, that kind of thing. So that's basically the purpose of this Flash movie, is for Wally West to ascend to being the Flash. Like, sure, Barry would still exist, and you wouldn't want to cut one completely out of the next script or the next movie, the next story. But since we've already got so much established Flash media with Barry Allen, it would be nice for Wally West to also be recognized properly. The same way that Ant-Man focused on Scott Lang instead of Hank Pym, but Hank Pym was still there. He was still a guiding hand in Scott Lang's adventures. So that's my idea for a Flash movie. Actually, you know what? If you've got one, you should let me know what it is, and I will definitely steal it, write it into a script, and send it to Warner Brothers and see if they like it. I'm not going to do that. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Also